Contestant, he's travelled from London today, Deck announced, and says he's got something unique to share with us. Let's welcome Edward Mallory. The judges prepared for yet another aspiring performer. No one was prepared for what happened next. The first sign came when a production assistant gasp swept through the audience as a figure appeared that seemed transported from Buckingham Palace. The scarlet tunic with immaculate white belts gleamed under the studio lights. The famous bearskin cap, arms swinging precisely, eyes fixed forward with unwavering focus. At the judges' table, reactions ranged from astonishment to skepticism. Amanda's mouth formed a perfect O of surprise. Alicia leaned forward with delighted confusion. David looked utterly thrilled. Simon's reaction was most measured, a single eyebrow raised in what might have been either interest or disapproval. The guard halted exactly at centre stage, executed a perfect quarter turn to face the judges, and assumed the at-ease position, feet shoulder-width apart, hands clasped behind his back. For several seconds, no one spoke. The silence stretched until a child form for the judges, sir. Simon's lips twitched in amusement. Permission granted. But are you actually allowed to be here? Won't you get in trouble? I have received proper authorization, sir. My commanding officer approved my appearance, provided it brings no dishonour to the uniform or the regiment. And what exactly are you planning to do? Simon pressed, gesturing to the case Edward held. I can't imagine you're here to show us how to stand still. A flicker of amusement crossed Edward's face. No, sir, though remaining motionless in all weather conditions for hours is indeed a skill that requires significant training. Edward placed his skill development and rest. We are not always in the bearskin caps you see at the palace. So you're a proper soldier as well as a ceremonial guard? Simon asked. Yes, sir. All guards are operational soldiers first, ceremonial guards second. Many of us have seen active combat between rotations of ceremonial duty. Something in Edward's tone caught Amanda's attention. Have you served overseas? A momentary shadow crossed his face. 3 tours in Afghanistan and 1 in Iraq, most recently in Helmand Province. The auditorium grew quieter as the initial novelty gave way to deeper appreciation for the man behind the uniform. Well, Simon said, his tone noticeable. My father was a grenadier guard before me, and his father before him. 3 generations standing at Buckingham Palace, Windsor Castle, and the Tower of London. So it's a family tradition? Alicia asked. Yes, ma'am. Though the violin came from my mother's side, she was a music teacher. A genuine smile softened his features. She used to joke that I got discipline from my father and soul from her. As Edward prepared his instrument, his movements mirrored the precision of his military bearing. Most people see us only at our posts, where we stand motionless for 2-hour shifts in all weather. They don't see the 20 years of military dedication to service that continues whether seen or not. Like the violin, he added, raising the instrument slightly. The performance is just the visible part of thousands of hours of practice that no one witnesses. How do you find time to maintain your musical abilities with such demanding military duties? Simon asked. In unusual places, sir. I practiced in forward operating bases between patrols in Helmand Province, in barracks during training rotations, even on transport aircraft during deployments. Edward's eyes took on a distant quality. Music becomes more important, not less, when surrounded by the realities of military service. He lifted the violin to his shoulder. In Afghanistan, I would play for my unit after difficult patrols. We lost men there, good men. The auditorium fell silent. Today, during our last tour. With deliberate movements, Edward removed his bearskin cap, placing it carefully beside his case. Without it, his features became more visible. A man in his early 30s with close-cropped hair, strong jawline, and eyes that carried an intensity at odds with his composed expression. A thin scar traced along his right temple, a silent testament to experiences far removed from ceremonial duties. The juxtaposition was striking, the scarlet tunic of centuries-old tradition, now topped by the distinctly human face of a modern soldier. "I will be playing Adagio for Strings by Samuel Barber," he said quietly. We played a recording of this only he could see. The auditorium fell so silent that the soft sound of bow-touching strings was clearly audible in the moment before the first note. The first note emerged with a purity that seemed to catch everyone by surprise. It hung in the air, clear, resonant, and carrying an emotional weight that belied its simplicity. Then came the second note, and the third, each flowing into the next with a control that spoke of mastery beyond mere technical proficiency. Edward played with closed eyes, his rigid military posture softening as the music flowed through him. The adagio built gradually, each phrase unfolding with deliberate emotional restraint that made its impact all the more powerful. In the third row, an elderly man touched the military service pin on his lapel, his weathered face a mask of recognition. He knew this performance was about expressing what soldiers often cannot say in words. When I stand guard at Buckingham Palace, I carry these tags with me during every 2-hour shift. When summer heat makes the bearskin cap nearly unbearable or winter winds cut through our tunics, I think of what my brothers endured in far worse conditions. Their memory is part of the discipline that allows us to stand motionless despite discomfort or distraction. This connection between ceremonial discipline and honouring the fallen created a new understanding of the famous stoicism of the Queen's Guard. Vital to me. Our unit was stationed at a forward operating base in Helmand Province. The routine was grueling, constant vigilance punctuated by moments of extreme danger. 3 months into my second tour, we lost Captain Williamson during what should have been a routine patrol. He was a brilliant officer, respected by everyone. The night after his memorial service, I couldn't sleep. I retrieved my violin and found a quiet corner of the base to play. "Became the entertainment?" Simon asked. "Not entertainment, sir," Edward corrected gently. "Something closer to communion. In a combat zone, emotional expression becomes complicated. Military culture values stoicism. My violin became a surrogate voice, expressing what many felt but couldn't articulate." He gestured to his bearskin cap. "The discipline you see in ceremonial guards is built on the same foundations that sustain soldiers in combat: mastery of physical discomfort, control of automatic responses, attention to details that might prove critical. When tourists see us standing motionless for hours, they're witnessing not just a tradition, but the visible manifestation of values that require the same fundamental qualities: discipline, precision, technical mastery, and the ability to sublimate personal comfort to serve something larger than yourself." Amanda was the first to speak, her voice affected by emotion. "Edward, I've seen thousands of acts, but what you've shared goes beyond performance. You've given us a glimpse into something most of us will never experience directly. We see the ceremonial guards as a London attraction, something to photograph, sometimes even to mock. I'm ashamed to admit I've watched those try to make the guard laugh videos without considering the person inside the uniform." Edward acknowledged her words with a respectful nod. "Your playing was extraordinary," she said. "Remarkable. How do these two disciplines influence each other?" "They reinforce each other, ma'am. The focus required to maintain ceremonial stillness for hours translates to the concentration needed for complex musical passages. The attention to detail in uniform preparation parallels the methodical practice of difficult techniques, and both require you to subordinate physical discomfort to achieve something that transcends the individual." David spoke with uncharacteristic seriousness. "My grandfather served in the Second World War and rarely spoke about his experiences. There was one piece of music, Elgar's Nimrod, that would always move him to tears, though he never explained why. I think I understand better now."